Hello everyone, we are live on air with Liv On Air, and welcome back to another Philosophy Thoughts episode with me, Olivia Calladine-Smith, your host. I'm a university student at the University of Bristol studying philosophy and French, and I have a passion for philosophical debate and meaningful current discussions. Now, I want to show you how you can use philosophy to tackle your everyday life problems as well as other ethical dilemmas. We will be going from discussions on social media, AI and other current affairs to crime, relationships and tips for success and growth. Liv On Air is a safe space where you can contribute your controversial and uncomfortable questions so that I can discuss them and tackle them with you all. And for the students out there, you will also be gaining exclusive tips and advice to academic success. I cannot wait to discuss with you all in this judgment-free zone. You can expect to start thinking like a true philosopher. You're watching Liv On Air. Okay, hello everyone, we're back in the studio. Wow, it is not even 7 o'clock. So good morning, if you're also watching this in the morning. But yeah, for some reason I just work so much better in the morning, and yeah, I feel really refreshed. So I hope you do too. I hope whatever time you're watching this, you're feeling great. And if not, then let's tune into such a really interesting discussion, because today we are talking all about power, energy, where we put our energy, and the nature of things in the world. Do things have inherent power? Do things have power, or do we give it power? Now, I'm so excited to go into this topic because I never really had this topic in mind. To be honest, I'd never really thought of the nature of things and power specifically. So interesting, because it is philosophy. Again, we're looking at the nature of the world and the things in it. If you can understand the nature of things, then you can perhaps even deal with them better. I'm talking about with a situation, with your emotions, with your own affirmations, and then also with relationships. So power comes into all of these things. And I think this conversation is so important because actually, when I think about it and when I've done so much reflection on this topic before coming here today to speak to you guys, I just think that, you know, at times in my life, I've had like a limiting mindset, or I haven't dealt with things the way that are most productive. And understanding this about the nature of things and understanding power and energy has allowed me to overcome anything that I want to overcome. And I just want to share that with you guys today because I do not gatekeep and I want to share everything with you guys. So let's just get straight into this. I'll tell you one example of where I felt like something was taking power over my life, and just by putting my energy in elsewhere, choosing to put my energy elsewhere, realizing that, wait, this thing doesn't have power. This object, this situation, this experience does not have power over me to affect me in this way. And when I realized that, I was like, oh, wait, I can get over this. This is fine. And that is my situation at university. Now, I haven't landed myself the nicest, most considerate flatmates, shall I say. And, you know, in the first semester, not only was I settling into uni, and finding that quite difficult, also they made the situation really difficult from the fact that they, you know, stay up late at night, you know, play music all through the night, having parties, just the uni life, but what I would call quite inconsiderate behavior. And, you know, just keeping the kitchen so dirty and filthy to the point where it's just not even hygienic to be in there. And you know what? This really got me down. I gave them the power to basically take over my mental health. And, you know, I had a lot of anxiety about it. You know, I'd cry a lot to my mum on the phone. You know, you can never give that situation so much power, or anything so much power, to the point where it determines now your future and your mental health. And, you know, for a short time, I was stuck in this, and I felt so down that I didn't want to go to my university lectures. I felt so tired that I couldn't do my work. And I was really tired, but I feel like I could have looked at it in a different way, and the whole thing that was happening, and probably found some power within that, probably found some purpose within the pain that I was going through. And so I learned through that situation doesn't have power over me. These people who are making my life hell, quite frankly, they don't have power over me. I give them power if I choose to keep talking about it. If I choose to think negatively all the time, wake up and just think about it, rather than thinking, okay, I didn't have the best sleep, but what am I going to do today about that? What am I going to do to still uplift myself, still be the best version of myself, rather than having a limiting mindset and just giving them all the power and saying, you know what, you're ruining my life and you're making this situation so difficult for me that I'm not even going to try anymore. I'm not going to put any effort. I'm going to let you ruin my mental health. I'm going to let you give me anxiety. I'm going to let you make me so down. You're also, I even in the first term, I didn't even go and speak to people and make friends. I didn't even talk to people. And, you know, that was one of the reasons, because I said, you know, you're making me so down. I don't want other people to see me down. I don't want to meet people and be down. But how can I give them so much power over my life that they just shaped the whole of my first term? And, you know, it's so great, and it's so nice to just know that you can actually have, you know, take your power back, never do it in like a manipulative sense, trying to have power and control over people as such, but it's just in the sense that things can't destroy you. You know, you are in control of that, and you can feed positive things and you get positive things back. It's just where you put your energy. And I said, okay, look, this isn't going to change. These people are who they are, and they're making the situation how it is. So what am I going to do about this? Well, I started to think, is this situation just black and white, or can I look at this and think, every cloud has a silver lining? What is the lesson under this, or what is the positives I can get out of this? And I thought, I can get character building. I can become more resilient. I can learn to love my academics more and be more determined to actually do them, because even though this is not easy, I'm tired some days, but it's showing me that through this situation, I can find the strength and become a stronger person. And when I shifted that energy to myself and I started saying positive things, when people asked me about it, I was like, you know what? Instead of saying, oh, but this and but this and but this, and it was always, I can't. And you know what? I just turned it to, you know what? They're doing this, but you know what I can do? And I just kept positively affirming, shifting my energy to the positive things that I have going on, because there's so much to be grateful for. There's so much to, you just can't let that situation take over everything. And now, you know, they still cause me so much stress and frustration, but you know, not only have I changed that mentally, but I've also used the situation to help other people by creating a page where I show the realities of my uni life, and so many other people who are going through the same thing can, you know, laugh about it a bit or just feel better about it, really, and just look at it from a different perspective. And now I just realized that, you know, I have power over that situation. So you have power over every situation, and just know that nothing has power until you give it power. And I know you're probably thinking of something in your life right now that feels like it's draining you down, it's making you shrink, but please put your energy into the positive. You will give and build that part of your life, and that part of your life will get power. If you keep putting your energy into the negative things, i.e. negative self-talk, affirmations, thinking, just anything negative, you will put your energy in that place, and that gives it the power to grow. And then that is when you shrink and it takes over your life. And we don't want that. We don't want limiting mindsets, because this channel is all about helping people grow and find purpose, showing you that philosophy can help you in your life more than you think. All it takes is to think about things differently, critically, and that can change the world. And, you know, it's just so interesting because you're shifting of your energy alone. You could be in the same situation, if not worse. I'm pretty sure now my flatmate situation is worse than it was before, but just alone the fact that I've taken the power out of it and I've shifted my energy, it's still the same situation, but it feels different. The same situation, but a different mind. Just to give a couple more examples of how I think that, you know, things don't have inherent power, but rather we as humans give them power. And that includes childhood trauma, heartbreak, you know, breakups, mental health, or negative experiences. All of these things, it's not me invalidating your emotions or saying you don't you don't feel that pain. And I understand you feel that pain, you feel that hurt, and you feel like you can't help but feel negative about that thing, and it's taken power over your life and it's shrunk you. But you will never move forward and do the things you want to do without learning how to overcome pain. You will always be digging yourself a deeper hole, unfortunately. It's just not productive. You will at one point try to break free from it. So if I can help you to do that at any point, I'm going to help you to do it now. I get it. I've had my own childhood trauma, and I have a chance to not let that define me. I have a chance to take the power out of that trauma and not let it shape me for the rest of my life. And, you know, that's just what I choose to do. And that's because I understand that my childhood trauma doesn't have power over me, and it never will. And it's a hard topic to talk about, and I know there's a lot of people with childhood trauma, but you know, I learned that my childhood trauma definitely plays a part in me today, but I won't keep negatively affirming it, and I also won't let it infiltrate into every situation in my life. You know, what you have to do is take the power away from it. How do you do that? You recognize, how has my childhood trauma affected me today in a negative way? And then what can I do to take that negativity to make it better? And you know, that takes work, it takes time, taking power out of things. But if you keep feeding into the idea that, oh, I have childhood trauma, so this is why I'm like this and this is why I'm like that, you will forever give your childhood trauma the power. And what do you want? To give your childhood trauma the power for the rest of your life, or let negative experiences and things that have happened to you control you for the rest of your life? Let you be cynical about the world? No, I just don't believe that. We have a life to live and be happy, and you deserve to be happy. You don't deserve to continue feeding into your negative traumas and hurt. You deserve to take the power out of that and elevate and just be the best version of you. And you can. And that's why we're here today. And so the way that I like to think about it is, power is energy. Think of power as energy. And so it's quite simple. If you want to take power out of something, you don't want to give something power, you attract your energy. You don't put energy into that thing, otherwise it will manifest itself. It will be powerful because you've put energy into it. It's like with anything, you know, if you put a certain amount of work into your studies, same energy that you put in is going to reflect in your results, because you're going to get that energy back. If you don't put a lot of work in, then you're going to get a low grade. If you put a lot of work in, you're going to get a high grade. Same way, if you put your energy into a toxic relationship, arguing back and forth with someone, you're just going to have negativity just surrounding you the whole time, because you've given it power. You've put your energy there, and now it's shrinking you. It's giving you anxiety. So all you've got to do is just take your energy away. Don't put energy into something that you don't want to manifest in your life. Quite simply. Same with affirmations. If you say, oh, I'm tired. Oh, I can't do anything today. Well, what do you think? How do you think your day is going to go? Is it going to be productive? I don't think so. If you say, okay, I am a bit tired, you've acknowledged that, but I could do something today. Maybe I just need to move my body. Maybe I just need to go to the gym and I might feel a bit better. That way, you've not become lazy. You've not put energy into saying, I'm tired, I'm not doing anything. Instead, you've put energy into positive thoughts and positive affirmations. And so what do you get out of it? Positive action. And you've given that power, and then you've not given the negative thoughts the power, and so it didn't take over you. It didn't take over you for that day. So that's just what you have to do every day. It's such a nice, simple way to think about it, because it feels so hard at times. But when you think about it like this, it's actually so easy. Like when you realize you're putting energy into something negative, just stop. And it won't manifest itself in your life. Just to emphasize, you know, power isn't a negative thing. It just depends what you assign power to. Religious people assign power to God. They give power to God over their lives to give them comfort, to give them strength, resilience, hope, all of these different things. That's an example of where people put power into a God, and that can bring positive things back. Not power, things that are there to distract you, to derail you, to give you mental health problems, give you anxiety. It's your choice. And once you know this, you can actually be in control, not in the sense that you're trying to control every situation and every outcome. You know, sometimes you put your energy into things a lot of hard work into things, and it just doesn't go the way you want. And that's okay, because I think that's just redirection. Your energy can be put elsewhere, and perhaps that is not something that the universe or God or is just meant to grow. Perhaps it's just not meant to have the power over your life. Maybe there's just something else, you're destined for. I don't think when you put it into something positive, you could ever shrink in that situation. For example, you might put a lot of energy into a relationship that you really want, and it doesn't work out because there's just a power imbalance actually. And in that situation, you can never actually be happy or fulfilled, because the other person is kind of actually got the power. You've let that person have the power because you're just pouring into them, so they have all the power. So maybe that relationship hasn't worked because there's a power imbalance, and you've given them power by just being there for them too much, to the point where there's zero reciprocation. Well, that's an example of where you could put your power into something that you can perceive as good, like a relationship that you really want, but maybe the relationship isn't going to be good for you, and maybe that's why you haven't got something good out of it. Or perhaps you put a lot of work into a business or a university application. Like when I did Oxford, I put a lot of energy into something I would perceive as good, but I think in those times sometimes it doesn't work out, and I think that can be redirecting you to something else. What you shouldn't do is let a situation like that, where you have a failed business or you fail a university application, to take power over your life. In that situation, you need to know how to shift your energy. So yeah, you put a lot of energy into this, but where are you going to shift this negative energy of upset and disappointment that you haven't excelled with something that you worked really hard for? And that's to not talk negatively about yourself or keep thinking negatively, I'm a failure. You want to put energy into positive thoughts. Oh, I learned so much from this. I've been really resilient actually through this, and I'm really proud of myself for that. And I've actually showed that I'm quite an innovative and creative person. Simple. You've put the power into the positivity, and ultimately, when you say all of those things, oh, I'm resilient, I'm strong, you're going to just go on to thrive, rather than calling yourself a failure and giving power to the negative thing that's happened. And we can take the existentialist view, the idea that nothing in the world actually has inherent meaning, intrinsic meaning. We assign meaning to things, and we can look at it that way because we can look at the world and think, well, nothing actually has that much power that it can take over me as a person, and it just depends what you feed your energy into. We choose what has power over our lives, what stress you bring into your life, and how you allow things to affect you. In other words, we choose what things have meaning and what meaning they have. Everybody goes through tough times, but knowing that you have the power to overcome what you want to overcome, you can find freedom and you can find peace. You just need to know where to put your energy and to not give those things power. And I'll tell you a situation that you can think about. I'm sure there's so many different examples of this in the world. You could have one person who suffered the same childhood trauma, maybe even worse, and you could have another person who suffered childhood trauma. And one person can choose to uplift from that, not let that situation define them. And another person can go through the same thing, but be down in the dumps for the rest of their life about it, and say that the reason that they can never be successful and never be free or have peace is because of that trauma. And like I said, it's not to invalidate how you feel, because I know how you feel, but it's just learning that you just have to grow the thicker skin. You have to not make excuses for every bad thing that happens to you, unfortunately. And it's just the way life goes. And I never ever would encourage anyone to let a situation shrink you, because don't believe that it can shrink you. It can't shrink you. You've chosen to let it shrink you. You've chosen for it to be an excuse to not elevate. And the truth is, if you really want to elevate, you need to learn to take the power away from it. And like I said earlier, you might not be able to take that pain away. It's real. It's a real feeling. That's fine. But you can choose what effect it has over you. You can't let your emotions or negative situations hold you hostage. Just break free from those chains. You have the power to do that. In every negative situation, in anything that makes you feel like you're shrinking, find your power within that and run a mile. And I want to give another 2 examples actually, and that's overthinking. A lot of people struggle with overthinking, and you and your own mind, believe it or not, have allowed you to have that overthinking take over you. That overthinking is just you. It's your own mind, your own brain. Overthinking is just like you've just given power for your thoughts to just take over you. And the fact is, you can change your thoughts. And another thing that a lot of people do is giving power to what people think about them or think about something. It holds a lot of people back in life. You can't be worried about what people think. You've given power for them to stop you from chasing your dreams. I know there's so many people who want to post certain things, they want to go into certain career paths, and people say like discouraging them has made them not do it. And you've given people's opinions so much authority over your life. You don't need to do that. I just believe that if you stop caring about what other people think and you trust yourself, you trust and believe that what you want to do or pursue is worthy and you have your own visions, go for it. Absolutely. Caring what other people think is an absolute killer. It's something I think you should never put your power into. And I mean caring what people think in a sense that you're self-conscious, as opposed to wanting people's constructive criticism and what they think in that sense. So yeah, if it's ever in a self-conscious sense that you think people are going to criticize you in a negative way, you think people are going to laugh at you, anything like that, just don't give it the power. Believe in yourself. You have a vision. Not everyone has the same vision as you, and you have your own vision. I know there was people when I said about a podcast and they just laughed, and I was like, okay, well, only I, Olivia Caledine Smith, knows what I think. I only know what my ideas are in my head. Every single person watching this, nobody is you. So you can never let someone's opinions shape you so much that you don't even step into the unknown. And I want to just make a philosophical point. Viktor Frankl, he talks about psychological resilience, and he says nothing automatically destroys us, but rather the meaning that we attach to that thing is what will destroy us. And this is just so beautiful because it teaches us that nothing can actually destroy us. As hurt as we may feel, as hard as we might feel that it is, it just depends on the meaning that we choose to attach to it. And as such, meaning is created, not discovered. We don't discover meaning within things. Just a thought, because we're answering the question, do things have power, or do we give it power? And what I will say is, don't get this confused for trying to have power, like a hierarchical power over people, because that's quite dangerous. And we're not talking about power in that sense. Don't go around in life trying to have more power over people, or trying to be in control, like absolute control of everything. That is not what we're touching on at all today. And you shouldn't be trying to have, like power over someone in like a possessive sense. If you have family, friendships, relationships, you shouldn't have like a power dynamic as such. But the truth is, sometimes people try to have power over you, and that is where you're allowed to take your power back. You should never be attracted of your power. You shouldn't allow people to take the power over you such that you shrink. If you start to feel exhaustion and anxiety and like you don't have control over your emotions anymore, that means that your power that you should have, quite frankly, to have peace and freedom, has been taken away from you. And that's where you're allowed to take it back by simply, if someone is trying to have control over you, you simply don't put energy into that person and you take your power back. Some people can be so negative in your life and, bring you down. If someone is like that in your life and they're trying to bring you down, and every day they just have something negative to say, they're trying to have, and you're actually allowing it to let you shrink, then you've given them power to do that. And so you have to not put energy into them anymore, even in like a political sense. You know, in like, a lot of politicians try to have quite negative, cynical versions of power over people. Obviously there is a hierarchy in society, and so they do naturally have more power, but sometimes I think it's the way that they perhaps use their power, and empower in what sense. So we're not talking about that kind of thing. But yeah, let's not go into politics because it's too early in the morning for that. Just to finish it off, no matter how hard something gets, negative situations, negative thoughts, trauma, anything, you can choose what power it has over your life. And just simply by shifting your energy and knowing what to feed your energy into is what will manifest in your life. And as such, you know, you can feed your energy into better directions. That way, if you feed your energy into better directions, there is just simply no space for negative energy to linger. There's no space for the negativity to stay because you've not put energy into it. And like the universe, as you know, things need energy, to survive. And without putting that energy there, it simply can't take over your life. So if I have one thing to say to end this conversation off, is no matter what you do not give things the power to destroy you. Well, that is everything for today. I loved that conversation. I really, really did. And thank you guys so much for listening. You know, just to say that we're going to start having guests on, and I'm so excited for that. You know, it's interview season. I'm going to have some really, really interesting discussions, having some great people on. So, you know, stay tuned for that. Now, make sure to follow me on my other social media platforms at Liv.on.air on Instagram and TikTok, as well as on Spotify at Liv On Air, where you can find all the audio versions of what you're watching right now. And if you don't know, I upload my videos once a week, every Tuesday. So please tune in every week. And yeah, it's so lovely to have you here. Remember, things do not have power, you give them power. So go out there, be strong, believe in yourself, and just know that your life can be the way that you want to live it. Thank you so much, Liv On Air listeners. It's Olivia Caroline Smith, your host. Goodbye.